What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hard Hat Highlights, where Jason and I talk about some of the wins and struggles that we have during our work week. And then, of course, Jason has scoured the World Wide Web for some of the trending headlines that we get to unpack here in studio. Today, we have a special guest with us. Before I get to that, if you haven't subscribed, this show is broadcasted on our YouTube channel called Glass Guy. We'd love for you to subscribe, comment, share, get involved, let us know some feedback, even reach out if you want to come on the show. But like I said, we have a special guest today, our newest teammate, Matt Cappuccino Fracchino. Welcome to the show, Matt. How you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And Jay, how the hell are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Feeling great here with Matt as our third wheel today.
Yes.
Can't wait to see what he brings.
Yeah, hopefully we get some, drawing the younger crowd, good-looking younger guy, maybe expand our demographic. But it seems like we haven't been on camera for a while.
No, we've had a little hiatus, but we're back.
Yeah.
We're back. We had some things to take care of.
A lot of work going on. January, we got infiltrated with new opportunities, which I think was a product of not only the market down here, but of course, our marketing that we do through social media, which has just had a huge impact for us on seeding new opportunities, keeping our current opportunities even stronger, building more rapport. But
Well, I think off the bat, let's get back to Matt. Let's let everyone know a little bit about him. So Matt is actually an internal hire of ours.
yes, which everybody always knows we like to do. We like to try and promote within, of course, first.
Yeah.
And Matt was working at D3 Glass. One of the things that I really, when I found this out, made me hold him in high regard was Matt came to the organization originally looking for a sales job. And there wasn't one available. But Bryce, this was at D3, when talking to him, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bryce said, listen, there's not a sales position currently, but just so you're aware, when one comes up, which it will, we usually hire within. So if you believe in the company and you want to be involved, it would be best to just take on a position now in hopes in waiting, for the right time to come up. Matt actually took that advice, which is key to a lot of people out there. Not only did he take that advice, he trusted it. And while working at D3, not one time, because I asked Bryce this, not one time did he say, is the job ready? Is there a sales position open? He went to work in the position he was in, got totally involved, and it wasn't, I don't even know, 90 days, 100 days, that a position opened up here at My Architectural Glass, and Bryce says, today's your day. An opportunity came up, and not only are you going to be in sales, but you're going to be working with, or have the opportunity, if you want to work with Keith and Jay. And I am so glad you decided to say yes. So first off, congratulations to you on not only trusting Bryce and the company to take that far, but act like a professional, especially at your age, because I think a lot of young guys can have a tendency, they want to just climb the ladder so fast and not take the hard road. And you did it in a professional manner without badgering and bugging and kind of shirt tugging to say, when's my chance? So kudos to you on that.
Thank you.
That's massive amount of respect. Now, how has it been so far? Is this what you envisioned a sales job being, or just kind of unpack how this transition from manufacturing to here? And you've been in other sales positions.
Pseudo.
Okay.
Not selling, but working with the sales and making sure they go through smoothly and everything on our side looks good. But it's not what I expected from a sales job. It's a lot better. There's a lot of unconventional things we do in a good way that you wouldn't get at a normal sales job.
Give us an example.
Well, they can't see it, but behind us we have a full gym built in the studio. So we work out every morning, we make breakfast, we do team talks, and we discuss our day and our plans and customers and different things. It's just the best job, and I'm glad I got it. And it's not like any other sales job, I believe, that's out there. I kind of stumbled upon what I believe to be one of the best jobs.
I'm glad to hear you say that, and I hope you truly mean it because I feel that way.
Yeah.
That's why I still come here every day.
I agree.
What do you think? So,
think-
oh, go ahead.
Go.
No, you go.
No, you go.
No, you go.
I was just going to thank Matt for fluffing us up. But Matt, prior to coming to us, you had in college, you have a degree in psychology.
Yes, that's correct.
So what made you want to turn that into a sales position? What I guess, was that your initial goal, like psychology, to, kind of get into people's mindsets, or what was it?
Well, I think like a lot of people and kids out there in high school, I just wasn't interested, didn't have a good time, didn't get good grades. And I believe it was my senior year, I got a class in psychology. And for the first time going to school, I was excited to learn and look forward to the lessons and did all my homework and took all the tests and got the best grade in the class. And it didn't even feel like learning. So I knew I was on to something there. And honestly, I wasn't even planning on going to college. I was just going to find work straight out of high school. But I really found out that I liked learning about psychology. And I think that's really what it is if you like doing it, is it really a job or is it really school? I mean, obviously I had to pay for school and, I worked full time throughout all of college to, help pay for school. But yeah, I just liked learning. I liked going to school every day. I was interested. I liked learning. And, when most people ask, what do you go to school for? And you say psychology, they go, that's very broad. But I never looked at that as something that was bad. What's the issue if, you study something that can be applied to quite literally any profession?
Well, I find it ironic because I would have never thought at a young age, I want to be in sales, I'm going to take psychology. And it doesn't sound like that's what he did. He just found what he enjoyed learning. It just so happened that later on in his life, he comes to a job where two guys that, I don't know about you, but I hated school. I wanted nothing to do with it. But when you and I kind of found our stride in the sales world here and we went down our rabbit hole of learning the art of negotiating, it ultimately is psychology. And so now you and I have studied that. In comes Matt, kind of green out of school, had a few jobs with a psychology degree. And here I feel like we're not mastered that, but we have a good understanding of how to apply probably some of the things he's learning in real time.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to know, out of all the stuff you learned that last year in high school and through college in psychology, and from those professors, and now kind of hearing Jay and I's take on the kind of street version of psychology, the way we interact with each other and inbound customers, would you say that we could potentially have a degree in psychology?
That's a great question. I think you guys could, but you might get bogged down by all the science that goes on behind it, because only a fraction of psychology is communication and talking to other people. Most of it's cognitive and how the brain functions and all that stuff. So I'm a little geeky when it comes to that because I like that side of it. But the interpersonal part of psychology is where I really took off. And then I was like, wow, because all the possibilities with a psychology degree, I was like, I think I would be good with sales. Like, how would this not work? Psychology is, studying the brain and how it functions, and sales is just kind of the same thing. You're trying to understand what's going on in the other person's head the whole time. And if that's already what I like doing and I like studying and I like talking to people, it kind of just made sense. And especially living where I live, in Naples, Florida, with so many opportunities and so much money, so much potential, I think it just made sense.
I think you finding that in being able to realize that you could apply psychology to sales that's amazing on your part, because not a lot of people think of it that way. But to take it back a second, you said we probably would have a little tough time with the science. I'm going to tell you, I've mixed everything under the sun in college and drank it. So I think I'd be pretty good with the science part.
Yeah, I'm good with chemicals too. Yeah, I had a full-time job on that. That's interesting.
I want to know, since you do have this psychology degree, how you would handle this. I had a situation just today. We had a builder. We've never done work with this builder before, but he came in off the street and decided that he said, "Oh man, I've been looking for someone to do glass railings." He was really excited about it, so he sent the customer in. Customer came in, picked everything out. The builder had us work directly with the customer. We went to contract. We started working on the project. It turns out that some of the things the builder said were done during construction were not actually done. And this is now creating problems for us. So now it's kind of a catch-22 here because we have to notify the customer, but we're also almost throwing the guy under the bus who gave us the job. And it's a weird dynamic, and we want to make things right, and do things the right way, but we also want to
preserve our bottom line. We want to preserve the customer's autonomy. We want to preserve our name.
That's right.
So
how would you handle that?
Man, that's a good question. First off, I would, if the builder really didn't want these kind of problems, he probably should have worked with us directly instead of, throwing the homeowner on us and then doing it that way. But what I would do is maybe ask the homeowner or ask the builder and say, "Hey, this is going to sound like I'm throwing you under the bus. What's the best way I can tell our customer that we're having this issue?" And kind of tag team the idea before you reach the customer, because then he knows what's going on before it happens. Then it's not throwing him under the bus. And then we've labeled the negatives and said, "Hey, this is going to sound like I'm throwing you under the bus. What's the best way we can put this to her?" And then it's a win-win.
there's a couple things to unpack there. I think for anybody who's watching this, that is an amazing answer and extremely heady, because if you said, "I'm sure this is going to sound like I'm throwing you under the bus," but it would be throwing you under the bus. But the way that you kind of threw that out there, it's smart, and it's giving him permission to tell you how to move forward.
You're doing exactly what we said. You're preserving his autonomy because he's making the decision.
Yeah. And also, if he didn't give you an answer that you believe in your gut was good for the customer, then we don't give a shit about his feelings after that. We would just go tell the customer, because we need to preserve our name as well, especially in a world where Google reviews are so important. It's a very fine line in customer service these days. You can be very successful just being upfront, honest, having good soft skills. But the second someone feels like they're crossed, they could bury you online, and we know how that can hurt us. So I think that's a great idea, because you also want to get more referrals from this builder.
Right.
But he's not going to refer you if you're causing him a problem. But this is a self-inflicted problem that he caused. So I think that's a good way of handling it.
And not only that, but if it's a person of that character who does not want to make right what they've done wrong, then you don't want to work with them anyway.
Yeah. So are you going to tell us what ended up happening?
So I did exactly that. I called the builder and I asked him to confirm that he put the proper backing that he said he had in there. And yes, I did.
But said, that wasn't true.
We know for a fact that wasn't true. And he said, "Well, you can cut open the wall and look." Well, I wasn't going to cut open the wall without notifying the customer. So cutting open the wall was his input. I said that's a great idea. We'll do that. I then called the customer, and I informed them there wasn't a problem, but we could solve
this
the
opportunity.
dilemma. Yeah. But we needed their blessing. So I explained to her the issue, and as soon as I started to tell her that I didn't feel there was proper backing behind there, she said, "Well, that doesn't surprise me, because we've had numerous problems on this job, and every single one of them involves the carpenter they're using."
Okay, so this is an ongoing problem, which is still a weird dynamic, because you can't take away from the fact that the guy went out of his way to give us this new opportunity, which is money that we wouldn't have had should he have come in here. However, maybe he went to a couple of other places and people recognize, "I don't want to work with this guy. He's a scumbag."
Right.
So I think, your answer is perfect. I think you handled it great. The customer is obviously probably on our side just based on what she's saying behind the builder's back.
Yeah, and it feels better that we were honest with the customer and
Absolutely.
let them know what was going on, while at the same time not intentionally throwing the builder under the bus and having him aware of it.
I think that's a very relatable people that are in the service industry out there. It's a dynamic where you get a referral from someone, you go to the job, now you're dealing with the homeowner, you recognize that whatever they've done before or didn't do before is a problem. You don't want to just make yourself look good to the homeowner. Remember, ego is not your amigo. You want to take the high road and converse and collaborate with the person that brought you to the table. And then should they decide to handle it the right way, move forward. If they're sketchy and don't want to handle it, then you don't have to worry about it. At least you gave them the opportunity.
Right.
And you preserve the right to get more referrals in the future. So I think that's really good.
Well, Keith, I see you got your Red Sox hat on today.
Yes.
So last weekend, you got to throw out the first pitch over there at JetBlue Park, Fenway South.
Both of you were there.
We were, and that was a little bit high and outside, but you know what? It's okay.
Speaking of high, did you notice dead nuts in center field in Fenway, how far it is on the wall?
I did not.
It's exactly 420. Center field in the triangle in Fenway is 420 feet, speaking of getting high.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay. But what a bucket list experience. I love the opportunity to throw out the first pitch. Of course, I love the vanity. I'm a lifelong Red Sox fan. Plus, I'm there with a lot of family and friends and coworkers, which is the same thing for me, family, friends, coworkers. So that was a really cool experience. But what about all the advertising Dollar has got throughout that park? I mean, I know we were at a Red Sox stadium, but everywhere you turn
It was
My Shower.
everything. It was the parking lot.
As soon as you go in the parking lot, 2 big signs.
Yep.
The golf carts had little My Shower Door flags.
The World Series trophies backdrop.
Had My Shower Door. Obviously the Monster. We're on the Monster.
Yeah.
And then in the suite, what a great job Dollar did. And then in negotiating to get the first pitch, that was really cool.
That was cool. And I thought it was really cool that you wore a jersey that was gifted to you by our good friend Mike Greenwell.
Oh,
that was cool.
That was unbelievable. I didn't know. Dollar kind of surprised me when we got there. He said, "Hey, Mike Greenwell gave me this jersey, and you should wear it out here at the first pitch." I said, "That's a great idea." And then I'm looking at it. It's like an authentic one, 93. Right before we go out on the field, Greenwell calls Dad. Dad gives me the phone, and I'm getting, kind of a pep talk from Gator Mike before going out on the field, in Fenway. It was really surreal moment. It was kind of cool.
So
Plus,
is that why you threw it high?
yeah.
Nerves were up?
The nerves were up. But Mike said he'd come back on the podcast, which we can't wait for him to come. He's got a ton of cool stories.
Well, that was a fun day. In that, I want to call it morning. It really wasn't morning, but before the game, I had a little lunch over at a local establishment in Twin Peaks.
Oh.
And they're still doing really well. But I was thinking about Hooters. Have you seen what happened to Hooters?
I thought a lot of the Hooters locations were going to bankruptcy.
A great majority of them. I think the original Florida locations are still safe, but whatever corporation bought a whole shitload of them, they're filing for bankruptcy.
Why do you believe Hooters, maybe we should ask Matt first. Why do you believe Hooters is going bankrupt, Matt?
Well,
First of all, do you like Hooters?
no. Well, they do have good seafood.
Oh,
Gotta give them
really?
that.
I thought there was wings.
Yeah, breast.
Not me. I go for the seafood. But to Jay's point, I would probably go to Twin Peaks over Hooters any day of the week. I love my girlfriend, by the way.
Okay. Duly noted.
Yeah.
But why? The food, the service, the atmosphere.
The atmosphere, for sure. Mm-hmm. And then the food is just great.
I've never been a fan of the food at Hooters, although I did like the curly fries. That was about it. I obviously just not a big fan of the food at Hooters.
I would agree. Twin Peaks food is far above and beyond Hooters.
Yes. But I don't think that's why Hooters made all their money, especially 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
No. And I think that's why Hooters is not making money these days.
Expand on that. What do you mean?
Well, there's some places you can't be politically correct. And back when we were younger, you'd walk into Hooters and it was full 8s, 9s, 10s, and now it's a bunch of 5s and a couple of 10s.
Oh, you're saying that they've lessened their expectations on what a Hooters waitress should look like.
Exactly. Let's just say that the uniforms have gotten larger.
Why do you think this? First of all, have you ever been in the Hooters and been served by a man?
I have not, and I would not be.
Okay. I
think
thought
they call that place Frank's.
I thought the main reason, in my opinion, why these Hooters were going bankrupt was just the generation that now is, obviously glued to the phone that would, kind of the younger 18 to, let's say, 30-year-olds that would be going out drinking with their friends, watching football on Sundays. Let's go to Hooters so we can flirt with the girls. Aren't doing that anymore. They're on their phones.
Yeah.
Therefore, the customer is not spending as much time at Hooters. Therefore, there's not as much income. Therefore, they can't retain the top talent, as you will, in this establishment. Therefore, they've had to broaden their approach to who they're hiring. What do you think?
It's quite possible.
Okay.
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
Did it say why they're going bankrupt?
It has not. It's just
So you're saying they're
reduction
going
in-
bankrupt because no one's going in there anymore because they hire fat cows.
pretty much.
Okay.
On top of it, if the food is shit, right, and you're just going in there for quote unquote the wings and a couple beers with your buddies, right?
Yeah.
Like at least you want something to look at.
That's the same person that says, I only get the Playboys because I like the articles.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Like they smell all the cologne samples in the.
Well, I think there should be some level of accountability within Hooters. I would like to know further on this of exactly why this is and what did Hooters not do to stay current and progressive with the market. Matt just said he loves Twin Peaks. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a far cry from what Hooters was. Why are they doing so well?
Well, that's funny you bring that up too because we at one point we had a Tilted Kilt here in Fort Myers.
That's right.
And that went out of business. So maybe Twin Peaks just has the right business plan. I don't know, but I agree. It's something that ownership probably, and I'm sure they are looking into, but maybe they need to hire like a Doge task force to figure that out.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. I absolutely love the fact that a private citizen has been commissioned by the executive leader of this country to start holding people accountable. I don't know what other enterprise on this planet could get away with the waste, fraud, and abuse that the U.S. government has and not be in prison or bankrupt. And so I just don't understand the rub how anybody could be against somebody holding our tax dollars accountable. Remember, the government works for us. And so when you see all these things, millions and billions of dollars going to
So you're saying that you did not agree to fund transgender mice?
No, I did not.
Okay.
No, I did not. Meanwhile, you go to some of these cities that we've traveled to, they are desperate to have their infrastructures rebuilt and reinvested in. So to see that type of money going out, I love. What's your take?
I agree, especially given all of the natural disasters that we've faced here, and the people are still rebuilding from that. Western North Carolina is just still in shambles.
Yeah, let's not forget our hometowns here. I don't know if you've been out to Captiva or Sanibel in Fort Myers Beach. These areas were decimated 2.5 years ago with Ian.
Yeah.
They're still not put back together. Then you have the Carolinas. Then, of course, you got the wildfires out in California. And we're sending all this money, billions of dollars over to fund a war. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid. We couldn't get away with that. And they haven't talked about the corruption and kickbacks that are probably happening.
Well, that's exactly what's happening. Why do you think there's so many people that are against it? Because think about this, okay? You're an elected official. You work for the people. It's the people's money, and the people want someone who's going to dive deep and figure out what their money's being spent on. So why are you, who works for me, combating that? Unless you're hiding something.
It's insubordinate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I think there should be term limits on everything. Everything, 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you okay with the accountability fact, what Elon's doing? What's your take on that? Do you not like it?
I don't try to keep up with it too much.
Smart.
I like his rockets. That's about it.
How about the cars?
Cars are cool. I was actually gonna get one, but I just ended up buying a used car and
I think that's
playing
smart.
it safe. Yeah.
I think that's smart.
Okay, so I just want you to know we are giving our money to another country willfully because we're paying Switzerland over here.
Yeah. I think he's taking a smart take on this. What else is there?
Speaking of Elon, I saw an article recently where I guess back in 2017 he had talked about, I'm sure you've heard of universal basic income, and how he feels it's pretty much inevitable. Well, he's doubled down on that recently and said not only does he feel that it's pretty much a done deal and about 80% of the world is going to end up on this universal basic income, it won't just be a universal basic income. It will be a universal high income, he says.
Explain this. I don't understand.
So due to all of the advances in AI and automation, he sees that it's going to get more and more efficient. So goods and services are going to be abundant, and people are not going to have to work anymore because they're not going to need to produce. But what that's going to do is probably make people feel useless.
You won't have a purpose.
Right. I mean, think about this. We are the dominant species, right?
We're supposed to be.
At least we, as far as we know, right?
Yeah.
And so now for that to be taken away from us, like the psychological impacts of that, Matt, I'm sure you can attest to that. They just got to be something it's like something we've never seen before.
I felt this way during COVID when we were sitting at home. I probably only stayed home maybe for 10 days, which was 9.5 days too long for me. I didn't have I can only clean so much and wash my hands so much and cough into my arm so much. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't making moves. I wasn't chasing deals. I wasn't building anything. I didn't have any camaraderie. Can you imagine going on like that for the rest of your, like right now, you retire and go home and you're never going to work again. I know there's people out there say, oh man, that sounds like a dream. You're going to sit on your couch for the rest of your life? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know, you can only go out fishing so much. Even if you love golf, you can only do that so much.
I'll tell you what, now that we're on this subject, I got a call the other day. I just bought a car for my daughter, and you got a call from what's our 18th birthday? Tomorrow, actually. Oh. Got a call from the loan company, and the entire call, and they tell you this from the beginning, was an AI representative. It was the weirdest thing. It was actually kind of cool.
And you're not an AI guy.
I'm not
it's
an AI
unbelievable
guy.
to hear you say this.
But it was cool in the respect where usually when you have voice recognition software that you're talking to, they don't understand certain things. So I kind of played with it a little bit. Like, you know, I would add a couple of little words like yes, I am, or, you know, sure it is, or, you know, things like that. And it picked up on it.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. It was, you know, obviously a bit robotic, probably more personal than you would think.
Well, I would say it's probably way more personable than talking to someone like in India.
Yeah.
That has broken English and you can't hardly understand, and definitely no deference.
Yeah, it's been a while. I canceled Comcast a while ago. But yeah, it was. It just goes to show how much this stuff can learn, and then when it learns, when does it stop learning?
Okay, let's ask the psychology major that will defer to you. Even with all the advancements in AI, do you believe the AI can pick up on like deference and tap into the human emotion to the same level that another human being can?
That's a good question, because I want to say no, but the pace that it is advancing right now is so rapid that I don't think any of us can wrap our heads around it. To think that this thing did not even exist, I want to say even 5 years ago. And now that it's creating...
He's doing business with it.
It's creating commercials. It's creating...
Yeah.
Everything we see now is curated by AI. And...
or at least ran through to double check or check. Yeah.
And the brain is the most sophisticated supercomputer we still have yet on this planet, just because maybe a computer can do, could do math equations quicker, certain things like that. But the emotional aspect, the consciousness aspect, which we fully don't even know what it is yet, that still makes us the top of the
That's what
food chain.
I believe too. Like, can the AI pick up on if it's having a conversation? Like we talk about this in sales. Can the AI hear the urgency that a customer might be insinuating when wanting to purchase new product? Or can the AI pick up on the plight or discomfort that they might have? Sometimes it's just an innocuous pause or breath air or anxiousness sometimes that you can almost sense. And I'm wondering if AI would be able to do that.
I think we're all going to be very surprised.
Oh, wow.
I think so. Just because they already have AI software. I mean, you're talking about hearing, but they already have AI software. If you record someone and they talk, it will analyze every wrinkle in their face, and it will have a chart of emotions, and it'll show 50% emotion of anger or confusion, and it will list off all the emotions that it can pick up just by looking at the creases in your face as you talk. So just applying that technology to audio, I don't think we're that far. I think we're going to be...
Damn.
And I want to flip this question on you guys real quick too, because I was thinking about this as we were going through. Out of all the jobs we see AI replacing in the near future, do you think sales is one of them?
You go first.
Oh, that's a great question. Well, I think that all comes down to the emotional aspect of it. I think if AI could use emotional intelligence effectively, it certainly could have a career in sales.
Do you... I don't believe... Well, first of all, when it comes to replacing what we do, take the sales part out of it for a second. I believe the work that we do here, where it requires, I think, a human to identify certain logistical things and outside conditions that could affect the products and services that we're deploying in a customer or implementing in a customer's home. None of it's cookie cutter. Like every single condition that we go into is different and requires us to take our experience there and be able to solve this problem. I'm not saying it can't be done, but if it's going to replace all the jobs, I feel like our jobs now would be one of the last ones. On the sales side of it, I still have a hard time knowing that the computer can pick up on that human emotion. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I don't feel like it could do better than what we could do.
Then explain this to me. It may not be able to do better than what we can do yet, but Matt brought up a very good point about it, reading the wrinkles on your face and getting your emotion out of that. But we also saw where we just went through this a couple weeks ago with I forget what they called it, in where it's watching what you look at, and it's catering the ads to however it feels like you're feeling. So remember we talked about, like, if it felt like you were depressed, it would start giving you ads for a vacation in Tahiti,
Oh, shit.
So I think there is stuff like that behind the scenes. I mean, I don't know, because I'm not a scientist other than mixology.
Okay, but here's the thing. With high level emotional intelligence, what you're saying is it's picking up on what you're doing and it's putting a product in front of you.
Uh-huh.
I don't believe that preserves a customer's autonomy.
No.
For someone to have the best experience, it needs to be their idea to say, but I see what you're saying. It's just putting it in front
It's
of them.
subconsciously doing that.
Yeah. Huh.
So like people aren't even realizing it. They're just like, yeah, I'm not feeling so great. It's rainy. It's shitty. I'm depressed, and got a little extra money. Maybe we should try this place.
That's interesting. Maybe it can replace. I don't think it. I think it'll replace a lot of the salespeople out there that aren't a higher level sales person. Someone that's kind of a pushy. They think they're a salesperson, but they don't know any of the psychology or emotional intelligent skill sets. It'll probably replace the bottom third, no problem. But I think there's a far delta between most people in sales and then the people that are dialed in on emotional intelligence. There's a huge gap there. I think you are in a small 1% at the very top. And so we will be the last to be replaced, if at all. If at all. That's my take.
I mean, you could say that. I guess I'm a little on the fence about it.
You don't even like AI.
I fucking hate it. And what I'm worried about is when AI starts feeling emotion for itself. Like, what happens if you don't realize it and you pissed off AI and now you got the Terminator coming after your ass? Like Luigi Mangione.
Okay, let's talk about that. That guy, Luigi Mangione, this is the one that executed the insurance president, the president of the insurance company.
CEO of United Healthcare.
Was in New York City?
Yep.
And not in broad daylight. It was at night, but it was all on camera, like execution style.
Yeah.
Wasn't there recently a jury decision?
There actually, there's not been a decision yet, but there's actually a camp out there that believes that he may actually walk free.
How is that possible?
And the reason they believe he'll walk free is this little known phenomenon called jury nullification. And so what that means is the jury knows he's guilty. They truly believe he committed the crime, but they don't feel he should be convicted of it, and therefore they vote to acquit.
You're basically saying the jury, under jury nullification, says that we know what he did broke the law, but we understand why he did what he did, and we can justify it.
Yeah, so they're basically making a verdict based on emotion.
And so it's not a guilty or not guilty. It's called jury nullification.
Right.
So the jury walks back into the court. The judge says, "How do you find Luigi Mangione?" And they say, "Jury nullification." We know. What do they say?
They
not
don't
guilty.
say, I don't believe they say anything. They just give the verdict. But in the background, they know the reason behind it was, they know he's guilty, but they just don't feel he should be convicted.
And so they'll just find him not guilty?
Correct.
And he'll walk out?
Yeah.
That's powerful. What do you think about that? Are you aware of the story?
Yeah, I actually heard a different version of this story where he could walk free for another reason, and it's the way that they had gathered the evidence or the weapon on him. And as you know, if you don't legally obtain the evidence,
it's called fruit from the forbidden tree, I think.
Yeah.
Whether you have to have a warrant or a certain justification.
And if you don't, you can find the guy with the murder weapon in his hand with the blood on it.
It's inadmissible.
If you don't get it the right way by the law, by the book, they can't bring it up in court, and he could walk free, which I'm hearing has happened with his backpack. The way they obtained his backpack and opened his backpack and moved things around before reading him his rights and then putting the backpack back and then officially investigating the backpack. There's a whole big thing going on. One uninformed cop can ruin a whole murder case if they're not careful.
Well, I think people have seen this before because I watched recently that OJ, again, they kind of redid it, and a documentary on that. And was it Mark Furman?
Yeah.
They thought because earlier in his career he had said some racial slurs that were documented, I don't know if on tape or in a media sense, and they used that against him to dispute his credibility in court. And that one cop was really the catalyst for OJ to get off.
Yeah, and to Matt's point, he's absolutely right. A legal search and seizure that would throw everything out of court.
That is not as sexy to me as the jury nullification, because that's kind of procedural, and there's case law and stuff that's happened. I knew that if I get a speeding ticket, the first thing you do after you get a speeding ticket, which by the way, the last 3 times I've been pulled over, I got verbal warnings because of the emotional intelligence. Shout out Chris Voss. Thank you. But if you get a speeding ticket, the first thing you should do is match it up to your license, because if they make any mistakes on that, I think once you would file to go to court and it could be thrown out.
Right.
Even though you did commit the crime, it can be thrown out because
certain states.
Yeah, certain states. But the jury nullification, for them to say, we actually understand whatever that insurance guy or his company did, pushed this guy to a point where it made him go crazy. It'd be like you catching somebody raping a family member and you kill them. Yes, you broke the law, but we agree you should have killed that person.
Yeah, that's where I think it's
crazy.
That's
to me.
That's a perfect application for this jury nullification, is a situation like that.
Yeah, you catch a family member being abused or raped, and you kill the aggressor.
Crime of passion.
A crime of passion, and so you would find jury nullification. Didn't they do that? It's every year on Father's Day. There's a picture of that guy in the airport that blew the head off of the guy that kidnapped his son, and I love that one. By the way, it was good to hear that. You know that story?
Yeah.
That's a real good. What's the guy's name?
Why'd you ask me that right now?
I don't know. I was hoping you knew it. I was giving you a softball.
Softball?
Well, it was a chance to look like a hero on tape, and you flopped.
Still a fucking hero.
Okay. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us on this Friday, episode 27. It's hosted on our YouTube channel. It's called Glass Guy, of course. Big thanks.
Thank you, Matt.
To Matt, our special guest. And how long have you been here with us now, by the way?
2.5 months.
2.5 months.
Maybe more. Maybe 3 now. Started at the turn of this new year.
Well, Matt has been an amazing addition to our team. Kudos to you for exceeding expectations. And we've learned stuff from you as well, but this has really been good, and the future looks bright for all of us. But we want to thank you for watching this episode of Hard Hat Highlights. And until next time.
See you then.